This is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations, and I'm here with today's fun fold card, which is kind of an inner frame card. The gal that I copied it from, I watched a video in French, and I turned on translations and I tried to copy down what she was saying. And basically, I don't think she had a name for it other than she was calling it an inner frame card. But I thought it was adorable and couldn't wait to show it to you. So that's what we're going to work on today. Again, I'm apologizing for the sound. I'm hoping it stays with us today. I have ordered a new cord for that microphone. Like I said, I'm running that scan on the other laptop. I'm doing everything I know how to do, I swear. Okay, so this is our card. I am using a fresh freesia card base. So this is 12 inches by 5.5. And I'm actually using a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock so that I could score this at 4 and at 8. And that's going to leave me with a 4 by 5.5. So I'm missing a 1/4 inch off of our regular size, but I think it's worth it. I think it's gorgeous. So it starts out with that fresh freesia base, 12 inches by 5.5. For the inside, remember we're missing that 1/4 inch. So the inside layer is going to be 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And I've got 2 pieces of the Lovely Garden Designer Series paper that are the same size, 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. Then I've got some little pieces that are going to go inside here. So these are 1 3/4 by 2 3/4. And I have 2 of those. I've also brought in some scraps of some Garden Green and Pretty in Pink and Daffodil Delight that we're going to do some die cutting with. So for this, I'm going to be using the Impressions Abloom bundle. Okay, so I had to go grab those dies because we need those. So this comes with those, excellent ovals that are in here. It's got the 2-part die, so you can choose to either just cut out the frame, or like we're going to do today, we're going to use the inside piece that goes with it. So I'm going to use the smaller flower, which means I'm going to use the smaller center of the flower. Okay, I'm also going to use the kind of stems for our flowers. We're going to do those in green. And then I'm, of course, going to need some leaves. So I'm going to go with these ones and then some of these flowers here. So we're going to do lots of die cutting with all of these. I had intended to get it going ahead of time, but with the sound issues, I just didn't have a chance. So you'll have to hang with me while we do some die cutting. I'm going to bring in my mini machine. I do have a newsletter scheduled to go off in the morning because tomorrow is the beginning of that refresh to the clearance rack. Stampin' Up! Has decided that we're going to stop doing Celebration. That's something they have done for years and years and years and years, and it's kind of lost its oomph. It's not getting quite as many sales as it used to. People aren't as excited about our free product we've offered. So they've decided they're going to do away with that program. But what they're going to do instead is a product of the month. So each month we will have a different product of the month that will be something that you can purchase. If you place a $75 order, you will be able to get this other stamp set, die, whatever it is they're offering that month, that product for a very nominal fee. I'm thinking they were saying like $5, but it's going to have a much higher value to it. And that's going to be starting in December. So because that's all happening, they are doing away with Celebration, and they are doing away with all of the product that they had left over from the last sale. So any product that they have left over in the warehouse is going to be added to the clearance rack tomorrow. So if there was something you didn't get and wanted, or got and you want more of, you're going to want to check that out tomorrow. Also, if you have not gotten the new in colors, let's see, it's Darling Duckling, Timid Tiger, Cloud Cover, Secret Sea, and there's one more. But those are all going to be on a 15% off sale, and that's also going to start tomorrow. Oh, Strawberry Slush. That's the one I'm missing. See, I forget that one because it's actually a comeback color. That's one we've had before, which is a first for Stampin' Up. I have not seen them issue a color, take it away, and bring it back. That was an interesting twist. So Stampin' Up is doing everything they can to try to be current and, keep up with what people want. All we can do is provide them feedback in hopes that they listen to us and make adjustments accordingly. Okay, so now it's time. Those were in Pretty in Pink. Now I'm going to switch over to Garden Green for our leaves and stems. So I'm going to do a single stem and a double stem, and we're going to need some leaves. So I'm trying to position them on there so that I'm getting the most use of my designer series paper. And I've also added adhesive sheet to the back before die cutting. So when we go to use this, we're going to be able to peel off the backing and apply them as if they are stickers. Oops, I just had it. There we go. I'm using the ejection holes that come with the dies. That's what these little holes are for. They're intended for you to be able to poke the Take Your Pick tool through there and pop these pieces out of their frame. I need more leaves than just 2. Looks like on there I have 5. So I'm going to need at least run this 2 more times. And I'm doing lots of mumbling and talking in hopes that we can be testing out the microphone so that if it starts to go funky again, you can let me know and I can try to do a switch. But it sounds like it's working. There is a way to check to see if some items are online exclusives. When you're on the Stampin' Up website, you can shop by online exclusives. You can filter them out and shop just online exclusives, and you can sort them by the newest product on top. Or if you are on my newsletter, every time we have a product release for like everything we've done this year, I have included a PDF that you can print out and add to your catalogs so that you have a printed version of all of the new online exclusives. So if you have been watching my newsletter, you can get those. You can also contact me. I can send you those copies. But from the website, you can filter. So kind of a quick list if you know where to find it, both online and in print. If you have difficulty finding those, you're welcome to email me and say, hey, Lisa, can I get a link to those things? And I'd be more than happy to send you those links to the PDF tutorials that I made for them. Okay, so there's 6. Now all we need is our centers. And we'll be ready to start crafting up this card. So again, I apologize that the die cutting wasn't done ahead of time, but like I said, it's giving me some time to test out this mic and make sure everything's copacetic so that when we start crafting the card, the sound isn't messed up. That's the plan anyway. I have had a few comments, like people think I don't know it's messing up and I'm not working on it, but I assure you I am. I have a feeling that it was a Windows update that did me in, because everything worked fine before that and I didn't do anything different. Like I haven't added any equipment, I haven't rearranged my desk, none of those things. All right, there's all our die cuts. So you can see how with the flower and with the center of the flower, there were the two parts, and one does just the kind of stitching or, you know, stippling in the center of these things, and the other one just cuts the outline. Yes, I agree. It's probably that update. I don't know how to fix it though. I mean, I've tried to look for new drivers. I've tried to look for new Windows updates. I've run a health scan. I've done everything I can think of. It's just bound to make me cry. That's its goal in life, I swear. Okay, so we have these two pieces, and then we have our base that's going to need a little bit of fancy cutting. And so what we're going to do is we're going to lay this in the trimmer, and I want to cut right in between there. So remember, these are 4-inch panels. I'm coming halfway across. So I'm going 2 inches this way and 2 inches that way. So overall, I have a 4-inch cut out of the middle. Then I have the score lines at the 2-inch. Yeah, the score lines are at 2-inch. But coming in from the top and from the bottom, I'm coming in 1.25 inches for the card base. Okay, so we're going to lay this in the trimmer. And I'm going to lay this down at 1.25 inches. So I'm using the markings on this side, because anytime I have a small marking, you know, like, because that's only 1.25 inches, if I tried to go this way with it, I have a little bit, you know, on my platform, but not as much as if I go this way. And when I have more of the cardstock on the platform, I have better control over it. So I'm using this marker on this side. I have Windows 11 Pro on my new laptop. I have Windows 11 Home on the laptop I'm currently using. So the microphone works on Windows 11 Home, but not Pro. I'm on the same version, but they're different builds, if that means something to you. Okay, so I'm going from 2-inch to 6-inch. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate this around. I'm going to do the same thing, only this time I'm going to use the top. Oh, and actually I'm not. Let's go this way, because that's going to make me count backwards. It's going to be easier if we keep with this 2 to 6 thing. So I cut this one this way. Now I'm just going to flip it, and I'm going to cut from the back. You can see it looks like I just replaced the trimmer blade, so I'm not sure why it's fuzzing on me. But let's clean out that track just in case that's it. Okay, I'm going to bring this down. Okay, so once again, at 1 1/4, I'm going to cut from 2-inch. So you can see there is the 2-inch right there on my trimmer. And see the straight line in the middle of this blade? I'm aligning that with the 2-inch. Then sliding it up to the 6. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to come over 2 inches. So let's see. Now I want to score, but just between those cut lines. Okay, so there's a score line. I'm going to take this and I'm going to align this with 2-inch, right? Because we had scored there. And so that's going to get me at this over here. So the other thing I could do is I could push it all the way over till it butts up to this. And this is making this the 6-inch mark where I'm scoring. Okay. So that's how we're doing our base. Okay, so I'm going to pop these two into mountains and that one into a valley. That's going to create our card base. Okay, so it's in a 1 1/4 inch from either side. Then I cut from 2-inch to 6-inch. And then I scored here and here. So it's kind of giving me an inside book, kind of. And that's going to be our base. Now we're looking at the fact that I want this to layer on here, but I want it to have that cutout in the middle. So I have the 2, and I know that I want it to come in this way, right? Yeah, okay. So I'm coming in over 2 inches. But now this time I want a 1 inch at the top. So I'm going to come down at 4 1/4 down to 1 1/4. Okay, this is going to make more sense when I go this way at my 1 inch. Oops. Okay, that's where I can see that I'm short, but that's okay. Okay. So there we go. So that's going to give me our 2 pieces. Now I was very careful to put back sides together. I started out right sides together because from a sewing background, that's how I think of things. But I wanted to see my pattern because I knew that I wanted this purple pattern flower to be on that side. Let's see. Okay, so by doing that, now I have the frame around that I wanted. Okay, so there's a frame around here as well as a frame around the outside edge. So I basically framed that whole piece. Are there any questions? So we're done with the trimmer. I want to do a little bit of stamping, but I want that to kind of be in there where I want it to be. And then I know I want my stamping to be seen from the outside. So I have just gently set it in there. I have not glued it down yet because I want to know that when I do my stamping, I didn't make any mistakes. We don't need to turn it over, all that good stuff. So I'm going to pull out my stamps. So we're going to say thanks for being there. In order to keep things straight, I am using the grid paper to align my stamps so that they are straight across on a line. And then I'm going to take my block and set that down right over the top. Now this time I'm watching my block to make sure that I am straight up and down on the grid line over here. We need our ink. And I'm going to stamp that right in the middle there. Okay, I did a little bit of a goof over here. I guess my pad's a little juicier than I thought, and I had some on there. But I think we're going to be okay because this is going to cover it up. Okay, I can see a teensy bit there. That's where a sand eraser might come in handy. Yep. Okay, so that just took that right off of there. I mean, there's more over here, but I don't need to worry about this because I know for sure these are going to get covered up. But the part that was going to be seen, I was able to take my sand eraser and erase that off. So that's this Tombow. And the link to it is on my website. On that products I recommend, craft room favorites, I forget what I called it on there, but it is an Amazon link basically. So now I'm being sure that I am putting adhesive around all the edges that might touch. Okay, so I'm putting a little in the middle here, but I'm mainly going around the outside edge. And I'm using liquid glue because I want time to wiggle it around and ensure that I'm exactly where I need it to be. Okay. Now the rest of it's just basic decorating. And I can kind of tell because we lost a whole bunch of people. I mean, we had quite a good audience there for a minute. And then we got past the part that really was the training and a bunch of them fell off. Okay. So I'm going to just adhere that. So now we've got all those layers together. Then I wanted to decorate these two small panels to go in what she's calling our picture frame there in the middle. But I wanted them to appear like they were coming out of something. I didn't want them kind of floating in midair. So I did what we call grounding, in that I just put a little bit of something on the bottom so they have something to rest on so that we know they are coming out of the ground rather than floating in midair. So I'm going to bring in one of our Stampin' Up blending brushes and the garden green ink. Come on. Eek. What did I do? Okay. So I'm going to swirl on the pad. I'm kind of putting a little bit of pressure with my finger on there, but not too much. And I am also going all the way around the pad. I'm not just starting out in the middle. I can see there's some little flakes of something on there. So I might want to get a lint roller and run it over that and see if I can get those to pick up. Did you know that you can run a lint roller over your ink pads and pick up glitter, embossing powder? All those things will come up with a little lint roller. Okay, I'm starting off the project and then I'm rolling on. I'm going left to right and then right to left. So I'm kind of getting even coverage over both sides. Now we can glue these inside. Although I think my stems might be a little long. So let's see. If I was to put this on here and then come in with my two, yeah, I'm going to need to cut some off. So why don't we go ahead and stick that on first then, so that I can trim from the back side. That's going to be helpful. So remember, I used adhesive sheet. So all I need to do is come in here and peel this off and reveal the sticky. Okay, that's going to be a whole lot easier than trying to apply, liquid glue to that. There is the precision glue press. You can be super careful with this. You can use a sponge dauber. There's ways to go about it, but my favorite is definitely the adhesive sheets. Okay, so now when I cut off from the back, it's going to be nice and easy to see the color difference there and be able to snip that off. Okay, kind of same idea with this one. I want the large flower to kind of go to the top. So I need my stem to go kind of about there. Peel off the backing. And I had kind of made a little mark with my fingernail. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but... And I want it to go at a little bit of an angle. Okay. See, isn't that awesome that we can just peel off the back and it's a sticker? Does anybody have any questions about what we're doing? Anything Stampin' Up? Let me know if there's anything I can help with. We do have, I submitted book number 3 of my Fun Fold tutorials. I submitted that to Stampin' Up. They require that when we do things like that, because it mentions Stampin' Up products and has photos of cards made with Stampin' Up products, they have me run them through their legal department to ensure that I've used all of the copyrights and the trademark symbols and, all those things that they need, and have clearly stated that these are all my ideas, not their ideas. They don't endorse it, all that good stuff. But I have had a few people ask me about writing books, and the one thing I can say is be sure that you have clearance from Stampin' Up. I wouldn't want anybody to get in trouble. All of mine are Fun Fold tutorial books because those are kind of my favorite. So in the book, I have directions based on just the fold. So it doesn't matter what stamp set you have, what designer series paper, what color. It's all just saying pick a cardstock base, pick a coordinating color, pick a designer series paper you like, create a focal point. Everything can be done with the supplies you have on hand, and each book has 50 patterns. And so it's nice to have them all in one spot, easy to reference, doesn't take up much room. And at $50 a book, it's only $1 a pattern. So it's actually cheaper than, going through and buying individual tutorials. So they'll have some photos of cards that are examples. They'll have diagrams, very useful. And so this will be book 3, meaning I have 150 fun folds out there. And can you believe we haven't used all of them? It's amazing to me that there's so many cool ideas out there. And I used to have a file folder, and one time I had a 3-ring binder that had all those things, but having them all in the book, taking up way less room, super handy. Okay, so now I'm ready to do the little flowers here. So I'm going to put those in the corners. So let's see, I'm going to peel off the backing, and then I'm going to grab one of our leaves. And I want the leaf to be coming out from behind. Kind of like that. Maybe a little less greenery, so it's a smaller leaf for our smaller flower. And I didn't put adhesive sheet here, so you can come in with a tad of glue, or we can come in with a mini glue dot. The mini glue dot may be a little less messy and faster because there's no drying time. But I had this handy, so we'll go with it. Okay, so this time I'm going to go with 2. Because, flowers are different. They're not all exactly the same. Ooh, there we go. Okay. So that one I'm going to stick up here. Because last time I used the big flower, this time we're using the little one. It still works. Okay, so there we go. There is our inner frame card using the Lovely Garden Designer Series paper and the Impressions Abloom bundle. Would also be very pretty with the Impressions Abloom or the Floral Impressions, right? Designer Series paper, but I liked this one. So that is today's card. I do have our card designed for Thursday. Again, Thursdays are a little simpler, but we're still going to be doing fun folds. So I have the kind of gatefold, not really gatefold, but Dutch door, I guess they call that when it's only half of the card front. So I have it in a landscaped version as well as a portrait version. And so we will be making both of those on Thursday. using the Cheers and Sips bundle and the Celebratory Sips Designer Series paper, which is also what I'm using for my Royal Retreat, which is coming up in September. I have an in-person retreat that I hold once a year, and that's going to be happening. And I've had people ask me if they can still kind of participate, even though they are not local. And so I'm going to be doing something where I offer a kind of retreat in a box. It's going to be a little different than when I did over the summer. That one I did with the group. There's a few little extra goodies in there, but the one for the Royal Retreat, you're going to be treated royal. You will get one of the t-shirts, one of the bags, one of the, all the little gifts I'm giving everybody, all the pillow gifts, the 12 cards we're making. I mean, a little bit of everything. So there will be an online version for that. So stay tuned. There will be more information coming forth. And as I said, it's going to be using the Cheers and Sips bundle. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope the sound held out on me, and I will see you back on Thursday for another fun fold card. Thanks so much. Bye.